Hi, everyone. Welcome to the last session of Module 6. My name is Arlet Ivonne Macedo Ortega, and I am very happy to be here with you in this last session of Module 6. So I'm going to start today's session by giving you all the topics that we are going to cover in today's session, guys. In today's session, we are going to see the conjugation of verbs in the third person of singular. We'll see vocabulary to describe our physical appearance, possessive adjectives, vocabulary of places in a city, and vocabulary to describe a place. So let's get the ball rolling and let's start with the conjugation of verbs in the third person of singular. Remember, guys, that in this module, we started to see present simple in affirmative, in negative, and in question form. Also, we saw in this module the present simple of verb be in affirmative, negative, and question form. So now we are going to do some practice of the conjugation of verbs in the third person of singular. Remember that in the forum, in the integrative forum, guys, in your fourth entry, you have to introduce someone to the class. So in order to talk about someone else, in order to introduce someone to somebody, you need to use verbs in the third person of singular. You need to conjugate verbs in third person of singular. And that is why today we are going to focus on the conjugation of verbs in the third person of singular. So I'm going to copy this link in the chat box and you are going to give a click to it, okay? So here we have the first link. I'm going to copy the link in and we are going to paste it in the chat box. So here it is, guys. Here in the chat box, you can now see a link. This is the first exercise that we are going to do together. So let's give a click to this link and we are going to see what is on the screen. So I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to give a click on the link. And give me 1 second. I'm going to share it with you on the screen. You can also do the same, guys. You can do the exercise along with me. We can do it together. So give a click to the link and let's see what is on the screen. Let's see very quickly. I have here the exercise, but sometimes there are some videos that pop up on the screen and I'm going to omit those videos. Wait a minute, I'm going to share the exercise on the screen. And it's here, guys. Here we have the present simple third person of singular. As you know, guys, when we conjugate he, she, or it in the third person of singular, we need to be aware of the endings. Here we have 3 endings that are s, es, or ies. Here, guys, the most important thing that you need to do is to know when we use these 3 endings in the verbs. Remember that these only function for the third person of singular, that is he, she, or it in affirmative, okay? Only in affirmative. So most of the verbs that we conjugate in the third person of singular in affirmative are, we only add s to the end of the verb. For example, he talks or she drives. And then there are some verbs in English that end with double S, that end with X or SH or CH, or that end with O. So what happens if I have these verbs? When I conjugate them with he, she, or it in affirmative, remember, we add ES to the verb. For example, she fixes. She fixes her car or her computer. And it does. It does, for example, exercise. And finally, we have another ending that is IES. We only add this ending to the verbs when we conjugate it in the third person of singular. If we have a verb that ends in Y, like we can see on the screen, tidy, but before Y there is a consonant. Look at the word tidy, and you can see that before Y there is a consonant that is letter D. Can you see it? When you have that case, guys, you need to change Y for I and add ES. For example, I tidy, he tidies, I play. But what happened in this case? Play, it ends with Y, but before Y there is a vowel. So in this case, we only add S to the verb, like he plays, he tidies. Look at this. And now, guys, you are going to tell me how do we conjugate these verbs in the third person of singular. For example, I walk, he walks. If you describe one of your partners and you said, Benjamin walks in the park with his family at weekends. For example, you can create sentences when we are describing someone else. What about the next one? I go, he. How do you conjugate this verb, guys? Any volunteer can tell me. Remember, guys, that you can participate in the chat or you can activate your microphone anytime you want to participate, okay? So anybody wants to tell me the conjugation of the verb go with he? What is it? How do you say it? In present simple, remember that this is present simple affirmative. Present simple affirmative. Okay, so who would like to tell me? Any volunteers? Anybody? Any volunteer? Anybody, guys? Anybody? I cannot see. Who would like to participate? You can also do it in the chat, guys. Okay, I can see one person that is participating. Goes. Okay, Itzel, he goes. What about dance? We say, I go, he goes, and I dance, and she. How do you conjugate this verb? Anybody wants to tell me? Any volunteer? Anybody? So we say she dances, okay? She dances. I speak, he. What about this verb, guys? I speak and he, according to the rules that we have, speaks. Yeah. So as you can see, it's not that difficult. I think it's very easy to conjugate the verbs in the third person of singular. I study. Remember that this verb ends with Y, and before Y there is a consonant, so we say she studies. All right, Marisol. And what about the verb enjoy? Who would like to tell me? Enjoy. Okay, we only add an S, enjoys, all right? We say enjoys. Next, next, fix. Remember, it ends with X. I fix, and what about he fixes? All right, Itzel, he fixes. Very good. He fixes. I jump, and then anybody wants to tell me? I jump and eat. Any volunteer? It jumps. I jump, it jumps. I wash. Now we have a verb that ends with S and H. So, well, what do you say, guys? He, for example, his hands. He washes his hands. I found she. What about find? We only add an S to the verb. So we say he finds. Yeah, finds. Only with add an S. We add an S to the verb. In the previous one, we add ES because according to the rule, guys, if a verb ends with SH, CH, OX, or double X, we add ES. But in most of the cases, we only add an S to the verb. So like this. Mary, look at this. Mary is a verb that ends with Y, and before Y, there is a consonant. So we say, she, and in this case, he marries. But with double R. He marries Anna, for example. He marries Anna in October. ¿Cómo dirían? Se casa con Ana en octubre. Entonces podemos decir, he marries Anna in October. Now, keep. The verb keep, that means guardar, mantener. For example, she keeps many secrets. Okay, we can say, ella guarda muchos secretos. She keeps many secrets. Love, eat. With eat, and we have love, we only add an S to the verb. It loves. It loves. For example, if I am talking about my dog, I can say that my dog loves cookies. So I can say it loves cookies. And bother. Bother, guys, is a verb that has a negative meaning. That means molestar. He bothers me a lot. Él me molesta mucho. He bothers me a lot. She, the verb sing, that means cantar. So she sings beautifully. Podemos decir, ella canta muy bonito. She sings very beautifully. Lie. Lie. He lies. Lies. Puede ser mentir. Él miente acerca de su estado civil, podemos decirlo así. He lies about his marital status. And then we have catch. Catch ends with CH, so we say he catches. He catches the bus to get to work every day at 7 o'clock. He catches the bus. ¿No? Él toma el camión diario a las 7 para llegar a su trabajo. He catches the bus every day at 7 to get to work. So here we have some examples of verbs that are conjugated in affirmative, remember, and in the third person of singular. And then, guys, we have another exercise in which one you have to choose either if you use the verb or the auxiliary do or does, or done or doesn't, okay? So what about the first one? Samantha like or Samantha likes playing tennis? What do you say, guys? Samantha like or Samantha likes playing tennis? Anybody, any volunteer? Who would like to tell me? Samantha like or Samantha likes playing tennis? Anyone wants to participate? Anybody, any volunteer? Yeah, Samantha likes, very good. And we make or we makes delicious cakes. What do you say, guys? We make or we makes? Any volunteer? We make, yes, because we are using we, not a third person of singular. Uncle Tom feed or feeds the dogs every day. What do you say? Uncle Tom feeds or Uncle Tom feeds? Any volunteer? What do you say, guys? Uncle Tom? Any idea? Feed or feeds. Remember that feed is a verb that means alimentar. So you can feed a baby or you can feed a dog or a cat, any pet. So it's feeds, right? And do they live in London or does they live in London? What is the answer, guys, for this? Do or does? Do they live in London or does they live in London? What do you say? Does they live in London? No, in this case, it's do they live in London? Why? Because does is for he, she, or it. Only that. He, she, or it. Do is for I, you, we, and they, okay? But for does is he, she, or it. So in this case, we are using they. So we say, do they live in London? Now, my brother eats a lot of hamburgers. My brother, what do you say? My brother eats. Why eats? Because my brother can be he, okay? So my brother is a third person of singular. So that's why we need to conjugate the verb. Okay, Jairo, right. You always come or you always comes to class early. So in this case, we have you. You always come to class early. So what do you say, guys? You always come or you always comes? You always come, okay, Marisol? You always come to class early. They all work in the post office or they all works in the post office. Remember the guys that we are talking about they. So the verb remains the same without any S, okay? They all work in the post office. The giant panda live or the giant panda lives in China. What do you say? The giant panda live or the giant panda lives in China? What is the answer, guys, for this question? Lives. No, in this case, is lives. We are talking about an animal, and an animal can be considered as a third person of singular. We can, instead of giant panda, we can use it. So we can say, it lives in China. So we say, the giant panda lives in China. Foxes, in this case, guys, we are talking in plural. ¿De qué estamos hablando aquí? De los zorros. Los zorros. Foxes, that are the animals, live or lives in the forest, because we are talking in plural. Estamos hablando de varios, ¿ok? No solamente de uno. So, in this case, live, no, sin la S. ¿Por qué? Porque cuando estamos hablando en plural, solamente necesitamos el verbo. Pero cuando estoy hablando como él, de ella o de eso, entonces sí necesito ya sea S, ES o IES. En este caso, no necesito porque estoy hablando de los zorros. Foxes live in the forest. Now, in letter J, I'm talking about the earth. So the air moves or the air moves around the sun. Do you remember Nicolás Copernicus talk about this theory? Él nos dijo que la Tierra gira alrededor del Sol. Antes de Nicolás Copernicus, nadie sabía que la Tierra giraba alrededor del Sol. Después, Nicolás Copernicus menciona que la Tierra gira alrededor del Sol. Hace algunas investigaciones y como la Tierra puede ser considerada como tercera persona del singular, porque estoy hablando de la Tierra, entonces de una sola cosa, digo moves. The earth moves around the sun, ¿no? ¿Ok? Moves. ¿Por qué no move? Porque estoy hablando de la Tierra y la Tierra se puede sustituir por it. It moves around the sun. Now, you don't or you doesn't often go to the gym. You don't or you doesn't. ¿Cuál palabra pon? Bueno, el auxiliar aquí del negativo. What do you use? Don't or doesn't? You don't often go to the gym or you doesn't often go to the gym. What is it, guys? You don't or you doesn't? Anybody? Okay, here I have some participations. Don't. Great. You don't often go to the gym. Michael doesn't drive or Michael doesn't drives. Here, guys, I have my auxiliary for the present simple. So when I have an auxiliary, I don't need to conjugate the verb. So we say, no, recuerden que cuando tenemos un auxiliar como el don't o el doesn't, ya no necesito ponerle S o ES o IES al verbo, sino el verbo se queda igual. ¿Por qué? Porque ya tengo el auxiliar. Lo mismo pasa en preguntas, chicos. Ya no necesitan ponerle S o ES al verbo. ¿Por qué? Porque ya tengo mi auxiliar. Now, what about letter M? Do or does? He know how to swim? I'm talking about him, guys. So what do you say? Does he know how to swim? Or do he know how to swim? What do you say? Do or does? Does. Okay, Laura, very good. We use does he know. Lisa and Nancy often jog or often jogs in the park. Here I'm talking about two people, that is Lisa and Nancy. So I say, Lisa and Nancy often jog. Jog, right? What is jog? Jog is like running, but slower. Jog es parecido a correr, pero un poco más lento. Podemos decirlo en español como trotar. Sí es un poquito más lento que correr. So Lisa and Nancy often jog in the park. These children ride or these children rides their bikes to school every day. In this case, guys, I'm talking about children in plural. Recuerden que la palabra children tiene un significado plural que significa niños o niñas. Entonces, niños en general, these children ride or these children rides their bikes to school every day. What do you say, guys? These children ride or these children rides? Ride, yes, very good. Next, my sister never tidies. Vean cómo está escrito tidies en la primera y en la segunda. My sister never tidies her bedroom. Mi hermana nunca asea su recámara. So what do you say? My sister never tidies, like in the first or like in the second? Like in the second, remember. Tidy, recuerden que termina con Y, pero antes del Y hay una consonante que es la D. Entonces tenemos que quitar la Y y cambiarla a I latina y agregarle ES. Entonces, my sister never tidies her bedroom. What about letter K? No, Q. Does your brother run or does your brother runs fast? Vean, aquí estoy hablando de tu hermano, pero estoy hablando en pregunta. Ya tengo mi auxiliar que es does. Entonces, les comenté hace un momento que cuando tengo mi auxiliar does o do o en negativo don't o doesn't, ya no necesito alterar al verbo, ya no necesito agregarle nada. Por lo tanto, digo, does your brother run fast? Does your brother run fast? And finally, you and your mom don't cook. You and your mom doesn't cook. What is the correct answer, guys? Don't or doesn't? Any idea? Any volunteer? What is it? Don't or doesn't? It is don't. Yes, very good. Porque estás hablando de ti y de tu mamá. Muy bien. Entonces veamos. Tenemos ya nuestro ejercicio contestado. Vamos a darle click in finish. And let's check our answers. Yeah. Very good, guys. You have done a very good job. Excellent. Actually, I can say that it was excellent. What was the purpose of this exercise? The purpose of this exercise is to know how to conjugate the verbs in the third person of singular in affirmative, negative, and question form, and how to identify the verbs when they are conjugated with other pronouns like I, you, we, and they. In affirmative, in negative with don't or doesn't, and on question form with do or does. ¿Para qué nos va a servir este ejercicio? Bueno, pues para participar en el foro. Recuerden que en su cuarta participación, ustedes tienen que presentar a alguien de sus compañeros. Y bueno, Para presentar a alguien tienes que hablar en tercera persona del singular y por eso es muy importante saber cómo conjugar los verbos en tercera persona del singular, en afirmativo, en negativo o en pregunta, porque también pues tienes que preguntarle a tu compañero a lo mejor sobre alguien más, ¿no? A lo mejor sobre sus hijos, sobre su esposo, esposa, etc. So that is the importance of this exercise. And we have another exercise to practice the conjugation of verbs. Let's see what it is about. Vamos a ver. We have the second link, guys. I'm going to post it in the chat as well. And here it is. Let's give a click together. Vamos a darle clic juntos a este ejercicio. And let's see what is on. And what is it about? I'm going to share it with you guys. It is here. And we have present tense verbs, third person. But wait a little bit because it's been downloaded. Hay que esperar un poquito porque se está descargando y a veces we have to wait. But here it is. Look. We also have the three endings that you need to know in order to conjugate the verbs with he, she, or it in affirmative in the third person singular. So these are the same rules that we saw in the previous exercise. Vean que son las mismas reglas que tenemos en el ejercicio previo, but in this case we have verbs in isolation. We have verbs only in isolation. Tenemos solamente verbos aislados, ¿ok? No en contexto, sino simplemente aislados. How can you conjugate the verb teach with he, she, or it? ¿Cómo decimos? Teaches, ¿ok? Teaches. Supply, supplies. Pass, passes. Add, for example, ads. Apply. Do you remember the activity? Apply for a job. ¿Qué quiere decir solicitar trabajo? Tú puedes decir, she applies for a job. Ella solicita trabajo. She applies. Study. She studies English, for example. Empty. Vean que empty funciona como verbo y funciona como adjetivo. Como verbo es vaciar. Vaciar algo, ¿ok? So you can empty the garbage bin. Tú puedes vaciar el bote de basura. Y empty como adjetivo significa vacío. So, how do you conjugate this verb in the third person of singular, guys? ¿Quién me ayuda a conjugarlo en tercera persona del singular? Empty, what do you say, guys? Anybody, any volunteer? ¿Cómo dirían? Él vacía el bote de basura cada lunes. Empties, okay. Laura, tell us. Empties. Right, he empties the garbage bin every Monday. What about do? Ella hace tarea diario. Ella hace tarea diario. ¿Cómo lo dirían en inglés, chicos? Ella hace tarea diario. Bueno, podemos decirlo she. Y luego, ¿cómo conjugan el verbo? How do you conjugate the verb? Ajá. One. Does. Okay, Laura. She does homework every day. Very good. And carry. Carry, you can say, I carry my mobile phone. I carry my mobile phone, but in this case, she, my mom, mi mamá, carga su celular en su bolsa. Carries, all right. She carries, my mom carries her mobile phone in her bag. Watch. Ella ve las noticias por la mañana. ¿Cómo dirían eso? She watches the news every morning. She watches the news every morning. All right, it said. And then love. Ella ama a su mascota. ¿Cómo dirían eso? Ella ama a los perros, por ejemplo. She loves, right? She loves her dogs. Kiss. Ella saluda, ¿cómo dicen? Ella saluda de beso. Ella saluda de beso y se despide de beso. lo podemos utilizar con el verbo kiss. Y yo puedo decir, she kisses hello and she kisses goodbye. Así podemos decir, chicos, saludar de beso a alguien en inglés. Podemos decir, she kisses hello. Eso quiere decir saluda. Y she kisses goodbye quiere decir se despide de beso. She kisses hello on the cheek and she kisses goodbye on the cheek. For example, French people kisses both cheeks. But in Mexico, before the pandemic, because nowadays we hardly ever do it, but before the pandemic, we were very used to kiss hello or kiss goodbye on the cheeks. What about swim? What is it? We say, él nada diario por 2 horas. It's too much. No, 1 hora. He swims, right? He swims. Ahí no le aumentamos la E, nada más decimos swims. Le aumentamos la S nada más. I walk and she walks. Ella camina 10 minutos. No, 10 minutos es muy poquito. Ella camina media hora, podemos decir. Ella camina media hora en el parque. She walks, all right. She walks. She walks for half an hour in the park every day. Yes, Jairo. And what about fly? Fly. Dices, mi avión vuela a las 6 de la tarde, ¿no? Entonces puedes decir, my plane flies. Tenemos que cambiar la Y por I latina. My plane flies at 6 o'clock this afternoon. All right, follow, seguir. Por ejemplo, ella sigue las reglas. She follows. We only add an S to the verb. My baby, mi bebé llora mucho en las noches, ¿ok? ¿Cómo dicen eso? Mi bebé llora mucho en las noches. My baby cries, ¿ok, Marisol? My baby cries, Jairo, my baby cries a lot at night. Think, ella piensa que en el futuro será rica, ¿no? ¿Cómo dirían eso? Ella piensa. She thinks, right? She thinks that in the future she will be rich. And wash. Ella lava los trastes después de comer. She washes. Yes, Jairo, right. And then fax. Vean que fax también se utiliza como verbo en este caso. ¿Se acuerdan que antes había una maquinita que se llamaba fax y que mandaba como que escaneaba los documentos? Bueno, podemos decir que fax también funciona como verbo y como escanear, ¿no? Que scan. So in this case, finishes with X. Faxes, all right. She faxes documents. And lose. Lose. For example, lose your temper. Tú pierdes tu control, tu temperamento. Tú puedes decir, she or he loses his temper or her temper very quickly, ¿no? Él pierde su control. Podemos decir, very quickly. Enjoy. Ella disfruta ir al cine con su novio. How do you say that? She enjoys. No, ahí no le aumentamos la ES. ¿Por qué no? Porque termina con Y, sí, pero antes del Y hay una vocal. Y cuando ustedes tienen una vocal antes del Y, ya no le agregan ES. Solamente le agregan ES cuando una consonante. Por ejemplo, en el caso de fly, vean que antes del Y hay una consonante y ahí sí quitamos la Y y la cambiamos. Aquí nada más le agregamos la S. Tell, we say, él cuenta muchos chistes. Podemos decirle, he tells a lot of jokes to his friends. Sí. Ella ve perfectamente, ¿no? Podemos decir, she sees perfectly. Visit. Él visita a sus papás los fines de semana. He visits. Visits. We only add an S to the verb. Try. What about try, guys? Try. Any idea? Any idea with try? Try, ¿qué significa, chicos? Try significa probar, intentar, ¿sí? ¿Cómo qué sería ahí? Podríamos decir. Tries, very good. Tries. He tries, for example, to learn the piano. Lock. Lock. I lock the door. Cerrar con llave. En este caso, él cierra su puerta con llave. Ok, Jairo. He locks the door. Eso es, cerrar con llave. Fix. What is the meaning of fix? Arreglar o componer, ok? So we say, él compone su carro. He fixes his car. March. Marchar. Marches. All right. And then wonder. Él se pregunta si ella es soltera, ¿no? Por ejemplo, he wonders if she is single. Say. El verbo decir, chicos, el verbo decir es says. She says. Play. He plays soccer, for example. He asks so many questions. Él hace muchas preguntas. Oh, I can see the clock now, guys, and we have 1 minute left to finish this session. But remember that for the second part of the session, we are going to continue so you can join the second part of the session with the same link. Ya nos queda menos de un minuto, entonces ustedes pueden accesar a la segunda parte de la sesión solamente con la misma